So I used a phrase last time. I said, I do my own research. This is a phrase that you may have heard before. Very often when you hear someone say, I do my own research, what they're really saying is, I do my own literature review. What they're really describing is this uncritical tumble down a rabbit hole of social media, casting about in this cesspool of disinformation, unable to distinguish the morsels that they discover from reality. Therefore, if we're going to talk about research, let me describe what I mean when I say I do my own research. When I do my own research, it's peer-reviewed. Peer review means that I write it up, I send it to a journal, and then they send it out to other people that tell me everything that I got wrong. If I made an assumption that wasn't fully supported, it's going to get spotted and pointed out. And when the reviewers point out something that I got wrong, you know what I do? I fix it, because I don't like being wrong. If it is pointed out that this is incorrect, I'm not going to persist with incorrect ideas. If I'm wrong, I correct it. Now, when I do my own research, I publish, which means that I have to do my best to explain as clearly and precisely as possible exactly what I learned from my research, and then I have to defend it. And it goes into publication so that everyone can read it and know exactly what I think, why I think that, how I arrived at those conclusions. That's what I mean by doing research. So when I do my own research, at the end of the day, you and I are smarter because of the research that I did. This research allows us to know something more than we did before I did my research. And this is not just me. This is the purview of science, journal articles, academic research. And this is what we're going to be learning about in a class like Basic Business Statistics. And so we need to discover, what is scientific research? What are the forms this research might take? How can it be done? What can we learn from it? And what will it mean for you to do your own research? Statistical research is built upon data. Understanding the world through data. Data are the facts and numbers that have been obtained in research. The word data is plural. The singular would be datum. When I use the word data, I'll be using it in a plural sense, such as saying the data are, the data show, the data reveal. And I make this point because I've seen some snarky comments in the comment section on my YouTube channel of people who clearly didn't make this distinction. Now, data are obtained in research, so what is research? Research involves procedures for collecting, organizing, analyzing, and interpreting numerical data to better understand the world. Doing data collection, using surveys or measurements or tools to quantify the world, and then organizing all of those data points into a data set, cleaning that data set, looking for missing data, imputing if necessary, looking for outliers, perhaps Windsorizing those back down into the core of that data set, so that we can analyze our data set to see what do the data truly show, and then interpreting. What does that mean? How does that apply? What is its use to us, to others, to the field? Understanding the world as it's been quantified in numbers. There are many forms that research can take. Now, one of my favorites, perhaps the one I like the best, is archival research. Archival research uses existing data. It's called a retrospective analysis because it's looking backwards. Data like sales figures or employee files or credit reports. And why is archival data one of my favorites? Why is it something that I used in my dissertation? And the answer is, and maybe I should be ashamed to say it, it's a whole lot easier to use data that someone else has already collected. I sped up my dissertation dramatically by using data that had already been collected by someone else. Obviously, you can't do this in every setting. There are times when you must do original data collection, but don't discount the utility of archival data collection. In fact, that's really what we're going to be doing in this course. I am going to be giving you data sets that you can use. These are data sets that already exist. We're going to be analyzing this data, learning from these data points. But honestly, it's all archival data. It already exists. It's already been collected. This is something we can do in the real world as well. In addition to archival research, we can also do observational research. Observational research measures data as they occur. This is called a prospective study because it is taking a snapshot of the world as it currently exists. Questionnaires, polling data, validated surveys. The researcher is getting a snapshot. What are your thoughts and ideas right now? How do you respond to the survey in the moment? Now, there's another form of research, one that may spring immediately to mind when you think about research, and that is experimental research. Experimental research manipulates variables under controlled conditions to determine cause and effect. Examples would be pharmaceutical drug trials, laboratory experiments, controlled organizational studies. Now, when I say that the variables are manipulated, I don't mean that anything nefarious is going on. We're not manipulating or massaging the data to get to a conclusion that we want to see. At least that's how science is properly done. When I say manipulated, what I mean is things like this. We randomly recruit a group of participants. We randomly assign those participants into one of two groups, experimental and control. The manipulation is on our part. We're controlling the experimental group gets the drug and the control group gets a placebo. But we're not manipulating the outcome. We're simply measuring the outcome. And the goal of doing research is to take what we learn from this smaller group, our sample, and apply it to the population in general. Now, I've said that research is built on numbers. We're quantifying the world. When we have a collection of numbers that are all measuring the same thing, such as the height of everyone in the classroom, or weights, or IQ scores, or personality measures, those numbers together create a variable. Let's talk about what the role of a variable is in scientific research. And there's really two variables that we want to know about right now. The independent variable, or IV, is the variable that has been manipulated by the experimenter. This is the proposed cause. The independent variable is sometimes called a predictor variable, especially if we're doing research using regression equations. A dependent variable, or DV, is the variable that changes as the result of the manipulation. This is the proposed effect. The group that gets the drug, we predict, will be the group that has lower blood pressure or higher academic scores as the result of this proposed cause, the independent variable that we established. We are measuring the dependent variable to see how it changes as the result of the independent variable. Dependent variable, sometimes called an outcome variable or a criterion variable. No doubt you have noticed that a word that keeps coming up in these lectures is the word statistics. And I've been using this word a little bit sloppily. In fact, it's really important that before we go too much further, that I clarify for you what I mean by the word statistics, because statistics can have multiple meanings. So next time, we're going to talk about the practices, procedures, and products of statistics.